Welcome to HiBiz News. My name is Suresh Kochatil. The COVID-19 pandemic has struck every sector in this world. Every country has been impacted. Every business has been decimated. Countries are now slowly opening up their business, but the challenge is what will happen from here on. Today we have with us Mr. Vidyasagar, President of Laghu Udyog Bharati, which is an arm of the Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh. He is the President of the Telangana chapter and he seeks to guide us in terms of what will happen and let us know what will happen in terms of what the industry expects from the government, what the industry will do post the lockdown, how will they handle the crisis from here on. Laghu Udyog Bharati has been guiding small scale industries across the country with over 45,000 members, and they seek to influence in a way the industry should perform and do well professionally. Thank you very much for speaking to us at HiBiz News.
Thank you very much.
Question number one. Across the world, industries have been impacted in different ways. The micro, small and medium enterprises in India and in Telangana have also been impacted. What is your reading of situation and do we have any specifics in this regard?
Laghu Udyog Bharati introduction has been given by my friend, but I would like to explain more in detail what we do in Laghu Udyog Bharati. Laghu Udyog Bharati has been formed in 1994 in New Delhi, and it is one of the offshoots of RSS Sangh. We have chapters in almost all the states of the country, and in Telangana I am the president of Laghu Udyog Bharati on the second term, which is third year now. Laghu Udyog Bharati has been formed to serve micro and small units in the country, and the primary objective is, we take the grassroots level manufacturing units to the decision makers at state level or at central, and see that everybody in MSMEs get their due share of support from the government, and they are made to work, they are facilitated to work for the objectives what they have set up the units. So we have been very successful, and last year August we celebrated 25 years anniversary at Nagpur, and this year 2 days back you were also there, 26th anniversary. We had a very good talk by Mr. D. Pawan Kumar, who is an eminent corporate lawyer in Hyderabad, and it was a good success. It was a good session, and there were more than 60 participants during that Zoom meeting, and then many of the requirements and then things which the MSMEs needed at this point of time have been very well guided by Mr. Pawan, and then we are very happy and we're glad that 26th anniversary of Laghu Udyog Bharati has been celebrated in a very productive and in a very useful way.
The industry, the big, small, everybody is looking for help from the government, both the union government and the state government. As the president of Laghu Udyog Bharati Telangana unit, do you have any specifics in mind in terms of what you are looking for from both the state and the union government? I'm sure you have made a lot of representations to both these governments. Can you just detail out some of them, please?
Yeah, we all know we are going through the worst pandemic in the world. This is the biggest crisis in human mankind. Yes, we are speaking about Telangana now, but then this pandemic has affected globally, in country-wise, in India and Telangana. Yeah, if we have to talk about Telangana, yes, it is as bad, as intense in Telangana, and many of the MSMEs are really facing tough time and challenges during these times. I wouldn't say that we are any different from any units in the country or world. We are equally getting challenges, facing payment of wages, or making the payment to the fixed expenditure like power, or things like blocking of inventory and things like that. So all the orders, the MSMEs which were having in the last 4 months have just got chock-a-blocked and nothing is moving. So it's just a standstill, and I wouldn't like to talk any very specifics about Telangana, except that our government is quite tough on implementing the lockdown norms, and that makes little different and difficult from other states. But I wouldn't say that, I wouldn't want to complain on that we are more tougher. The need of the hour and need of the place, Telangana, is as such that the government has to be more tougher. It is in the general interest of the public and the employees that government has to be slightly tough and then take care of the health of workers and other stakeholders. So it is equally impacted in Telangana. But if I talk about MSMEs in general, Yes, MSMEs in general in all India is severely affected because MSMEs always work from a very small business plans, small monies, small resources, always on hand to mouth in a country like India. MSMEs don't have deep pockets like the bigger companies in the country or world. So this is severely affecting MSMEs because of depending on various other stakeholders in the economy. So it's quite serious, and then the future looks like little bleak, directionless. But then we have to put a brave face and go to a post-COVID era. So like we were just talking now, we should now talk about pre-COVID and post-COVID things, which has taught us many things. What we have done during the lockdown and what we thought about how do we go about after the lockdown. So like necessity is the mother of invention. We learned many things, how to reopen and how to be more stronger and more courageous. We have to look at a holistic view of the economy. We'll have to look at what government can give and what are the compulsions of government also. Yes, but both central and state governments have been very supportive to the required industry, and then as Laghu Udyog Bharati, we have given a detailed and comprehensive requirements to the Honorable Finance Minister on 7th of April, which will see through the MSMEs during the COVID period, post-COVID period. I would rather say that this will help us on survive, sustain, go to back to normalcy and grow. See, these are the 4 steps we are talking. How do we survive during the COVID period? How do we sustain during COVID period or post-COVID period? And how do we go to normalcy? You can't just go off and start your press the button and start your machinery, or you can't go to the market and just ship off the material which is in the inventory. So we have to first survive. That means payment of wages, payment of power, payment of other fixed expenditure are very serious for MSMEs now. The next is, how do you sustain? Sustain means you can't continuously take monies from here and there and then keep paying. We need to bring our receivables back. We need to work as a mechanism where how can we cash our current assets and sustain on ourselves. And going to normalcy is not in your hand. Normalcy is in the hands of your supply chain in and out, your customers, your suppliers, your workers coming back, and then your employees coming back. So all this we are exposed to so many things. When I say normalcy I can clearly define that all the resources which have gone dismantled before the COVID have to come back along with the business plans, then only the question of normalcy will come. And going by today, I don't see normalcy before July or August, if everything opens up by end of May. So we need 3 months to go to normalcy, and we need another 3 months to go to a pattern of growth. Because if you have seen, the COVID lockdown was imposed on us on 22nd or 23rd of March, and it is wrong timing, because the economy has been slightly slow in the last 2 years, and then we were just coming out of that kind of economy, and then we thought a good turnaround will come from March, and then all the companies had very good business plans for 2021. Now unfortunately what happens, every vertical of economy, we accelerate our business targets, our business plans and our sales or things like that in the last maybe 8 to 12 weeks. You take it banks, you take companies, what they do normally, in February and March they try, normally, it's a human, psyche also. In the last quarter of every year, you see the numbers are growing. So everybody was ready with, lot of things to push their business plan for 1920. That did not happen. A lot of inventory is stuck, a lot of sales have been stuck, lot of payments have not come. As a result, it's just got defaulted in all aspects of economy in the last quarter. In addition to that, every company has made big plans for 2021. Now we have lost 1 month. So we really don't know when we are going to open up all these things. So it is having a cascading effect of last year and this year also. So we have to have a little more understanding of the business once we open up the lockdown or post-COVID. and adapt to new things. You may not be having the same orders. Your customers may not be, even the loyal customers may not be with you. So post COVID, the most important thing what I see is you need to go for absolutely the ground realities of the business. Cost cutting is one major thing. You need to explain to your employees and the workers the need of the hour is they should understand the fundamentals of business and think that this is the time they support the industry. We should also take unions and then union leaders into confidence and tell them that next 6 months or 1 year or 2 years, this is within the legal judiciary framework or administrative framework, next 1.5 years there should not be a sort of charter of demand or things like that, because that is the minimum employees and workers should support the economy and industry.
We have a labor shortage actually coming up. That's what I've been speaking to industrialists, because the migrant laborers, once they leave post the lockdown, there is going to be a shortage of labor in the industry, or at the big level, at the small level, at the medium and the micro level. I've been traditionally told that the labor force in Telangana and Andhra don't usually prefer to work in the industry. Are we trying to change this methodology? Are we trying to train and get more of the local population to actually come into the industry and work with us, so that we have less to depend on the migrant laborers?
It's a good observation, but then I wouldn't agree 100% because yes, I would say Telangana, Andhra is almost like one state. Of course, we think that there are two Telugu states, yes. But if we speak about North Indians, we don't have many North Indians in Hyderabad, number one. And number two, the challenge wouldn't be so serious or severe for migrant labor, because when I told you that we have to go to normalcy, when you go to normalcy, and the next step was the growth. When you go to normalcy, you wouldn't be operating your plant at optimum level. You may not be having full orders, may not be having raw material or cash or resources. So the best thing is you will definitely be left with at least 50% of the labor, the local labor. Make use of them. Now we were talking about using the labor for 12 hours instead of 8 hours. So they get a better salary, and then they also will fill the vacuum of the missing labor which we have. So I really don't believe that migrant labor could be a major issue for industry in the country, because by the time you go to the next step from normalcy to the growth, you might train your local labor, and our IITs and our engineering colleges are churning out more than 500,000 engineers every year. As such, job market is still open. We have a lot of labor available here. So we should take this as an opportunity to train the local people also from your normalcy to the growth. So this could not be a major hurdle for our restart of the industry in the state.
As they say in the law of the jungle, only the fittest will survive. Naturally, in the small, medium enterprises and even the micro ones and the big ones also, the post-lockdown scenario is going to be drastically different. The after corona effect on the industry is going to be brutal. Do you see some sectors, some industries, some small and medium players closing down? And if so, what would be the reason for that to close down?
Obviously, MSME, though we call small scale units, they constitute a majority share of GDP in the country, and they have their own infrastructure. And I was asked to talk to CNN, IBC in 2007. My first answer to their requirement was micro and small units have to be recognized globally. So we don't depend only on Indian multinationals. That is one. And second is MSMEs have to adapt to the changing need in the economy. Of course, it may take time. That is the reason I put 4 steps. Survive, and then sustain, and then normal and growth. So we have some time, and then today. There was a time, when people or companies used to stick to their core competencies. Now today, with public domain information and engineering upgradation, things like that, you can very well shift your line of activity or your business plans to some other things. So many things will crop up, and then the biggest learning or takeaway from COVID is exports. and also see how we can have import substitutes so that our MSMEs are engaged and then they are not closed. So we, of course, we are depending on bigger companies for MSME survival, but then we have enough room to take their support and then take their infrastructure.
Prime Minister Modi this morning made an announcement in the newspapers that, so obviously he said that yesterday, that India, especially the chief ministers of each of the Indian states, should look at the business that is going to flow out of China into other countries, notably countries like Vietnam, Thailand, even Bangladesh, will try and grab that business that is coming out of China. As the president of Laghu Udyog Bharati Telangana unit, do you have any access to understand as to what kind of industries can we attract into India, and what should the state and the union government and the industry itself to do to get this business to come to India and start their production here?
It's a good one again. If you remember, when Prime Minister Modi had taken over as the Indian mantle, or once Mr. Modi has become Prime Minister in 2014-15, the first thing which he started is Make in India. So this is not new, the self-reliance and then import substitutes, and then why not we be second country in the world to be the net exporter. All these things have started not now, 5 to 6 years back. But I said necessity. This is the necessity now. We have to take this. The biggest learning COVID has given is self-reliance, number one, and as far as possible, don't use imported material if it is price sensitive. Try to pay 5-10% more. We will work out mechanisms to make it common level. We will try with all our resources how we can make that particular products, those particular products to at the prices which we are importing. So let us not import price sensitive products. Let us import technology. Let us import which we can't do now. Again, the things which we want to import also have to come someday started in India. But as of now, yes, you operate all your micro and small units at optimum level, reduce your costs, try to pay a little more, and then keep our machines and our wheels engaged, that we don't lose our foreign exchange and we don't lose our employment. So this is very important. So we have to really focus on import substitutes first and try to export the products, because I am in the industry for 30 years now. I had the opportunity of meeting at global giants in my line of activity. The last 10 to 15 years, from 1999, 2 American companies wanted to set up plants in India for Asian markets and re-export to US and Europe. Did not happen because of various reasons. Earlier it was not very difficult to get FDIs into India. This is the time. I had the opportunity, privilege of working with global giants, and then we have invested a lot of money. Today, Sagar Asia as a company has all the technology knowledge to be a leader in our line of activity by being associated with so many companies in the world, and we can go to the third world countries. So this is India's time. I'll tell you why these guys have come. They are extremely comfortable with China, but they were always wary about this kind of situations. So as a risk management country, they wanted one more source of supply from any other country. If China is say shipping about $100 million to a country, at least 20% they were expecting that some other country has to step into those shoes and then give 20%, so that they balance the risk management of supply chain. Unfortunately, we did not come into that slot. It is quite disheartening to say that people started going to Vietnam, people started going to Thailand. If you see today, Bangladesh is supposed to be one of the biggest exporter of garments. Thailand is also that, and most of the US and European companies are going to Vietnam. Why they haven't come to India? We are the biggest country. We had biggest organizations in US, Microsoft. You take Google. We have talent, we have knowledge, but why we don't work in India? One important thing I'll let you know on this. I had gone to Niagara Falls about 5-6 years back, and then I had to wear that water coat. when the boat goes very near to the water, the falls, a lot of water will spill on you. So we need to be protected with this water coats. I wouldn't say raincoat. Believe me, I went to the storeroom. I was so inquisitive that who has supplied this. I was so inquisitive and went to the storeroom, and to my dismay, I saw beautiful boxes, and every box we have a stamp on that made in Thailand. What made you not, see, this is 7 years back I am telling. So these small things also we are not doing. So this is the time, public, entrepreneurs, everybody have to come one stage or one page and see that we are self-sufficient, number one. And we use all our energies, talent and everything, and be a net exporter. At least today you be a risk manager to the multinationals who are importing from China. Tomorrow you can go to supremacy after 10 years. We are not doing that. For this, government and industrial heads and other agencies have to sit together and talk about how do we go to the next level of what we are talking now. Today, no doubt, the necessity has come that we have to pull up our socks and see that we are much better than what we have been doing, and we have to work lean. We have to work with more consciousness that every paisa is important in the system. Every human being is important in the system. Why not we replicate what we are doing outside? If you take these 5-6 names who are working in India are Indians, why don't you use them here? And why don't you get back the brain drain which has gone out? Bring them back from Europe and the US, and then make it more reasonable and progressive here. So this is what I feel. Yeah, I would like to tell you one small thing, like the kind of support what we have asked from the government of India for micro and small units is a 25% of the sanction limit as ad hoc for taking care of all these things, to be repaid in 36 installments with a 6 months moratorium. This, there are a lot of money available with the banks and institutions now by virtue of cutting the CRR, by virtue of the repo rate and other things, and RBI themselves are putting a lot of money into the banking system. Everybody, every micro and small unit has to get this money independent of what they have been doing in the last pre-COVID time. This is extremely important. There should not be any discriminatory, but it has to be an obligatory on the side of the banks to support all the industry. I wouldn't say banks should lose money. Government has to step in. I'll just tell a small thing. In February, on 1st of March, the total deployment of monies from banks to micro and small units was 5 lakh crores. We need 25% on it, which is 1,25,000. I would say 10% has to be given in cash by the government to the banks to enable, so that they don't lose their money, and the remaining 15%, which has to be repaid in 3 years, has to be guaranteed by the bank in case the company doesn't pay back. But on the other side, I am also telling my units that you have to do everything possible to be very successful, and don't give to willful defaulters. You have your business due diligence. You just check up whether that business needs this money. Do the business due diligence and support the units so that we are not closed. And as Telangana President, I would not like, it's my endeavor and my strong desire that not a single unit should close in our state, and nobody should starve for the want of employment, and we don't want to be a burden on the government or other agencies that somebody is not having a job and then we have to pay them for their 2 meal or 3 meal. And thanks for the opportunity.
That is a comprehensive kind of analysis of the entire scenario. I don't think anybody could have done it better, Mr. Vidyasagar. Thank you for speaking to us, and Hybis News is happy to note your views in this regard. Thank you for watching.